in every exam I have faced the same issue. There is this one trending song on Instagram that I usually come across and that keeps ringing in my mind all the time, and especially during the exam. Hey YouTube family, in this video I am going to share my experience of taking the IELTS exam and give you a few tips of how you can ace a 7 plus band in less than 3 weeks. And you don't have to know advanced English at all. Basic English is more than enough. And all you need to know is that you have to put in the work and you're good to go. So let's get started. IELTS is an internationally recognized exam or test which many test takers take in order to apply for their masters or undergraduate programs in different English speaking countries, and also by people who wish to find a job in the English speaking countries all over the world. The exam is based on testing you on four particular skills, which is your speaking, listening, reading, writing. And you are tested out of a band of 9 on each of the skill. Listening, reading, writing being on a single day, and speaking would be on a separate day, or it could be possible that you get the test on the same date. So make sure that you check out more detailed information about the IELTS before you move ahead with it, because there is an alternative for the IELTS which many people usually prefer as well, which is the TOEFL exam. So make sure that you know the nuances between both the tests. So coming to my experience, I was unfortunate to get my speaking test on the same date as my listening, reading, and writing. I had a gap of about 1 hour after my speaking test, and I made a friend, so I really had a good time interacting with him, and also we had like snacks and stuff. So I'd say that my experience overall was great. The speaking test was something which I was really anxious about initially, but it was a smooth ride. Coming to the second part of the test, it was more about my listening, reading, and writing. The first section that I encountered was the listening test, which could be really um, intimidating and at first glance, because you would be in the mindset of listening to each and every word, and in that moment you would tend to forget what the main idea of the entire conversation is about. But really don't dig into the nitty-gritties of what the speaker is saying. Rather try to figure out the keywords while he or she speaks, which really helped me like figure out what the adjective is or what the noun in the specific sentence is, and then you try to read the sentence while the speaker really talks about it in a conversational setup, or it could be any other setup. So my advice to you during the listening test would be to keep it simple. Don't dig into the details of why the speaker is saying whatever she is or he is. Just try to keep it very simple. Try to figure out what are the main keywords. It could be a number, it could be a word which would be in the form of an adjective or a noun or a name specifically. So just try to make sure that you don't fall into the trap of, you know, digging into the details. Try to look at it in a bird's eye view, and you will ace the listening test. I am sure that you would get a 7.5 easily when you try to look at it on a higher level. Reading test it follows the same pattern as it is in the listening. What you need to do is not to read each and every word of what the paragraph is about. Sure, if you have time, then I think you should critically analyze about what the author or what the writer is saying. But since you are in a time crunch, it would be in the best interest that you read the keywords again and again. Like, if it's the first paragraph, try to not dig into the details, read it just so that you get the main idea out of it rather than understanding the prepositions, how is it correct or wrong. English is a funny language at the end of the day, so you really don't have a say in it. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever you're reading a passage, just make sure that you skim read it as much as possible, which is not possible in other exams like the GRE or the GMAT, which is arguable. But for the IELTS, I felt that this technique really helped of skimming through before heading to the questions for that particular comprehension. So try to get a main idea of each and every paragraph, and then later jump to the questions, and then go back and forth, look at the question, and then, since you already have a mind map of what each and every paragraph is about, so it becomes much more easier the next time when you try to refine it. And in that process, I'm sure that you will be able to find the main point in the reading passage. So yes, you need to practice this skill a lot, but trust me, it works. If you practice every day for the next 2 to 3 weeks, just practice each and every session, I'm sure that it will be very easy for you. The IELTS is not about how well you know your English, but it is about how accustomed you are to the test. So try to make sure that you are sitting a full session of listening, reading, and writing whenever you're practicing, because that is where the magic lies. In every exam, I have faced the same issue. There is this one trending song on Instagram that I usually come across, and that keeps ringing in my mind all the time, and especially during the exam. Well, next. So, what I would do to prepare for my writing skills was to pick up a random prompt from this Reddit community, which I'll talk about later, and just type it out in a time constraint. Keep it the way it is, ignoring the fact of any vocabulary mistakes or grammars, and then post the same thing on the community. And I'm sure that someone might reach out to you and give you some constructive feedback, because it is quite difficult to keep a track of where you're going right or wrong, and you need to have someone or the other to make sure you are doing it correctly. So make sure that you receive feedback from people than rather than doing it by your own self. So this community really helped me, and I'll talk about it once this segment ends. Just a few closing points that I would like to mention in the video is that if you really want to prepare for the IELTS, don't go for any third party material. Stick to what the IELTS exam or the official authority gives you. And also, you might be able to find official material from other sources. So try your best. I'm sure that if you move your hands here and there, you'll be able to find what you want. It could be your friends, it could be anyone who has, the older version of the exam. So make sure you connect with them. Reach out to me in case if you have any doubts. I'll be more than happy to help you. Really don't worry about your English speaking or other interpersonal skills, because that is the least concern right now. What you need to do is to strategize yourself on how you can tackle questions in a smart manner. So make sure that you stick to the fundamentals, and I am sure that these points are very helpful to you. I'm sorry that I couldn't dig into the details, but if you want me to, then I will post it later on. All the best to all of y'all. I'll see you soon, and best of luck.